Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is another paid request for Movie Guide 2005. Thank you so much for the requests you've sent. I know you sent quite a bit. Thank you for your generosity. For anyone interested in requesting any type of reviews or re-reviews, which I'm perfectly happy to do re-reviews, topics, tier lists, rankings, video game playthroughs, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. For those who sent them, thank you. I do appreciate it. And this is for the original Day of the Dead, which is funny because a bit of a while ago, I did a commentary with my friends from Dead Pit, Uncle Bill, Stuntman Mark, on it should still be on the channel, where we talked about this film, and it was its anniversary. And it's still a good film, still holds up, still one of the best zombie films of all time, at least in my opinion. It would be in the top 10 with the original Dawn of the Dead and Dead Alive and a few other films. I don't know what else would be on there. I have to think about it. But before we start, my favorite zombie film is Dawn of the Dead, the original. And to go back a bit more with zombie films, or even with George Romero zombie films, he didn't direct it, but the remake of Night of the Living Dead is my first introduction to anything remotely related to Romero zombie stuff. Night of the Living Dead, the remake, I saw on VHS, and I liked it. I liked it for what it was. Tony Todd, Patricia Tallman. I liked the cast of the film. The ending, I was pissed what happened to Tony Todd, but Patricia Tallman was able to help me get through that in a weird way. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. So sometime later, I saw the original Night of the Living Dead on cable. I'm not a fan of the film. I respect what it did. I respect the fact that without it, we would not have zombies as they became. It was the grandfather of it all. I get that. I can respect you without needing to like you. That's the difference. I can respect the film to the end of days, but I don't like the original Night of the Living Dead. I don't think it's entertaining. I don't think it's scary. I understand that it's a different time period, but hell, I liked Dracula. I liked Frankenstein. I liked The Thing from Another World and Them, and just because it's an older film doesn't mean I can't like it. Those films and more I like. That one though, like Psycho, I don't love certain bits of that movie. I think the first half is much better than the second, but I like it more than Night of the Living Dead. The Birds I really like. It's not a horror film, but Rear Window, a thriller, I really like. So, just because it's not because it's old. I don't think the acting, other than Ben, other than him, the other acting I'm not big on. I think the music makes it less scary in a way, with how loud, because of how certain films of that era, the music was purposely very loud and grandiose. But to me, that makes it less scary. And I keep saying it, but those other films I mentioned, they weren't scary, but there's other aspects I liked, whether a certain actor or certain dialogue or certain other scenes. 9/11 did not. It just made me want to go rewatch the remake. Then sometime later, I saw Dawn of the Dead on VHS. Now, at this point, I did not know much about Dawn of the Dead, other than I saw the VHS cover. I knew about Roger Ebert. I looked at the back, and I'm like, okay, there's no images of the film on the back of the VHS. On the front, there is Roger Ebert saying this is one of the best horror films of all time, which is As a guy that watched Siskel and Ebert back to the day, I went, okay, that's pretty high praise from this guy. Because he's not really that adamant about horror films. At least that's what it seemed like on Siskel and Ebert. For both of them. And I was just hooked, line, and sinker. I always tell the story where at the end of Dawn of the Dead, I thought it was going to end like Night of the Living Dead, where everybody fucking dies. So Ken Frey, who I love, who's a badass in the movie, he's getting ready to, I'm like, oh, he's going to shoot himself. But then he shoots a zombie and kung fu kicks this guy and I was like on the bed, jumping, being excited, acting a fool, acting stupid because of that. Just a vivid experience I remember. This must have been, God, I don't know when this would have been. Probably still too old to be doing that shit, but I was. I think it was the late 90s, sometime around there. And so I might have been like, I don't know, 14, 15, so a bit too old to be doing that, but I did. And I just loved it. So, to this point, it's still my favorite horror film from the 70s. And one of my favorite films of all time. My favorite zombie film, my favorite George Romero film. I love the original Dawn of the Dead. So, a bit later, I saw this film. Now, for some reason, someone I knew told me, oh yeah, this film has a very depressing ending. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know why the fuck he said that. I don't even remember who it was who told me that. But it's not a depressing ending. I don't know what the fuck they were talking about. I don't know, maybe they got the film mixed up? Maybe? But I saw the film, and I liked it. From the first go, I liked it. Because some of the acting, especially Joe Pilato, was very memorable. His dialogue, his mannerisms, almost to the point I'm almost rooting for the guy. I know he's the bad guy, but I'm like kind of understanding his point of view and going, I kind of want him to win. I like Lori Cardille, who's the lead lady. I don't think they give her much of an arc of the character. She's kind of the same at the beginning as she is at the end. And the way her studies go, it's fruitless venture at the end of the day. And kind of pointless, Sally. So thus for most of the film, she doesn't really have a whole lot to do. At least like Galen Ross, she becomes pregnant and she learns how to shoot, she learns how to fly the helicopter, now she's flying the helicopter at the end. It may not seem much, but at least there's something of a gradual bit to her character, Lori Cardille. But I do like the actress, and the lady seems like a nice girl in real life. And I do like her. I kind of wish she did more. But I do like her. Terry Alexander, despite the fact he has a very fake Jamaican accent, I do like him. I do like his character. Sherman Howard, where at this he called himself Howard Sherman. He's great as Bub, one of the best, most famous zombies of all time. He gave a performance on the level of Boris Karloff and Frankenstein, because he's got to use his face and his emotions, and you get his humor, sadness, him doing the salute at the end. It all works out so well. Richard Liberty as the Doc, who they call Dr. Frankenstein. He definitely has this manic glee in his research, and you can tell he's fucking insane. The other people, the other soldiers, they're very hammy. So at least they're not boring. They're not bland. They're not wooden. I'll give you that. But they're pretty hammy. Bitches in the fucking cave, But at least, I'd rather have that than be boring. The guy I don't like is I think it's Miguel. He just comes off as a whiny, tired, whiny bitch. So fucking what? You think you're tougher than me? So fucking what? So she's got a bigger dick than you, it seems like, you fuckhead. Fuck you, Miguel. I don't think that actor did a great job. That character, he's just there to be a whiny bitch, and then he fucks everybody up, which I still don't get why he does, because technically that would mean his girl that he loves, or I guess doesn't really love, because he treats her like shit. He slaps the shit out of her. He tells her to piss off, and then opens up the door so all the zombies come in, which could include her getting killed. So to me, he's worse than Rhodes. He's the worst piece of shit in the movie, in my opinion. Fuck him. Fuck Miguel. So I don't like him. I don't at all. But a lot of the actors I do like. The effects. I mean, okay, the plot of the film. I should mention this because after the success of Dawn of the Dead, of course, people want to make another one. At one point, George Romero, I think, signed a deal, a 3-picture deal, and he did the other 2 films first. Probably because maybe he knew the third film, Day of the Dead, would be made no matter what. So then let me do the first 2 in case if Day of the Dead didn't do as well or as well as they wanted, then maybe he wouldn't have gotten the third film. So I think it was Night Riders and Creepshow. Night Riders I'm not a fan of. Creepshow is great. So you have Day of the Dead. Now, originally he wanted a bigger production. I think some of the ideas he wanted would later be in Land of the Dead. Which, that's a film... You know what? I have not seen Land of the Dead in forever. That's a film I would need to rewatch again. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a re-review one day. But that's a film I saw in the theater. I remember not hating it, but I didn't love it. It's one of those, Because I know some of my friends hate John Leguizamo. I don't hate him. As a person, maybe, but as an actor, I liked him in certain stuff. John Wick. In, what was that? Super Mario Brothers, I'm a fan of. Dennis Hopper, I like. But yeah, that's a film I remember not loving and not hating. Kind of just in the middle. But yeah, he wanted a bigger story. He kind of called it the Lawrence of Arabia of zombie films. But it was going to be much more on top and on... I don't remember the other details of it. It was going to be a bigger movie. $7 million. They said, we'll give you the money, but it's got to be R-rated. Because we got to be able to make our money back. Which I can see, because if it's uncut, unrated, you have much more limited advertisement you could do. And mostly if it's unrated, a film doesn't do the best at the box office. There are exceptions, but there's not a lot of exceptions. Especially at that time. Romero knew that his audience would not want an R-rated film because of how Dawn of the Dead was. We gotta go crazy with the gore, and we can't hold back. So, if I did get unrated, I'll make it for cheaper, which he did. So, mostly took place in the mines, which I think was shot in what's called the Wampum Mines, which I think was in Pennsylvania. Because I think the stuff they shot up top was in Florida, and then the bits in the mines were in somewhere near Pennsylvania. I think so. Anyway. I could see... Okay, the rest of the plot is pretty much the scientists, led by Richard Liberty. They're trying to figure out a way... Like, Lori Cardille wants to find a way to stop the infection of zombies. And they're kind of trying to listen to Richard Liberty. Although... At this point, they have to be figuring out that this guy is fucking Looney Tunes. He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. He's crazy as shit. And there's much more tension between the soldiers and the scientists. Because the soldiers go, you've lost one guy, we've lost many guys. How fucking long do we have to sit here and be here? Our job is to watch you guys. We have to corral these zombies and get you more test subjects. How much longer do we have to do this? And they've been in this confined space for so long. A good chunk of the film is people snapping at each other. Scientists being pissed at the soldiers. Soldiers being pissed at the scientists. Yelling, cursing, cussing, being more pissed. Terry Alexander and his buddy who likes to drink, they deal with the helicopter. So it goes from either the test subjects of the zombies to the tension between the scientists and the soldiers to Richard Liberty dealing with his star pupil, the zombie named Bub, who is learning more mannerisms compared with the other zombies. It's a powder keg building up until it explodes in the third act, where you get some really good makeup effects. Some of the best makeup effects Tom Savini, who worked on the effects, some of the best he did, some of the best zombie gore effects you've seen in a film. It's the standout of the movie, easily. Even though Dawn of the Dead is my favorite, I can say this does have the best gore of all the George Romero zombie films. You could argue, well, Dead Alive might beat that. Now that I think of it, Dead Alive might beat that with the gore. It definitely has more gore than this. So, yeah, Dead Alive might beat that, but this is pretty damn good. And it goes on from there. I could see why people were disappointed when this film came out. If you look up like Quentin Tarantino, he said how when they saw the film, he was hoping for a film that even beat Dawn of the Dead, but it didn't, because he loves Dawn of the Dead, and, I liked it. And a lot of people felt disappointed. They either hated the film, or they were disappointed in the film when this came out. I could see why, because Dawn of the Dead is such a bigger movie in terms of the scope. You're in this crazy newsroom, everything's going up shit creek without the paddle. Then you're on the helicopter, and you're going across the countryside. You see all these soldiers or rednecks shooting zombies. You have the bit with the gas station, the helicopter blade fucking up the zombie's head. You have the whole mall, and the mall seems very vast. And every background when you're in the mall is different. It's a different store. It's an ice rink. It's the arcades. It's the gun store. It's so many different visual things to see. And it's a lot more action, there's a lot more shooting, there's a lot more firepower and gunplay. It's much more of an adventure, horror, comic book movie. And then you have the bikers, and then Ken Foray shooting at the bikers, and vice versa. And before them take out the zombies, and all the beginning when they're in the building, and Woolie's gone apeshit, and blown up heads, and it's just much more action, adventure, bigger scope, different visuals, different backgrounds. Here, it's much more contained. It's a much more slower of a pace. And the backgrounds mostly are the same, because there's a mine wall, maybe there's an office wall, there's a mine wall. It's just the same. But on the flip side, that could also help create a bit of claustrophobic element. So it was a different movie. People wanted Dawn of the Dead Part 2 instead of Day of the Dead. But they did Day of the Dead. And as its own film, it does work. Now again, I like Dawn of the Dead more because of those elements I mentioned. But I do like this film as well. Now, yes, at times the snapping against each other got a bit old. Not all the characters, like the Miguel guy, I hated. I think he was an annoying fucking character. I don't think he was a good actor. Again, when the beginning, they'd go to, I think, Florida and to see if there's anybody there, but you see zombies. And then you have this newspaper, The Dead Walk, which Paul Wild Stallion Anderson had ripped off for Resident Evil at the end of his first movie. The newspaper is a reference to the newspaper in this. Which is funny, you also see like a gator, but you just see the thing tied around its mouth so it doesn't bite people. So if you look closely, you see the gator has this thing wrapped around its snout so it doesn't bite people. And then when you see the Day of the Dead title, you see the zombie, but it's lit a bit dark, so you can't see the makeup as well as maybe you should have. But it's still a cool scene to set up how things are gone to shit. With really good music. I mean, I prefer Goblin and Dawn of the Dead, but the music by John Harrison, which he did music for Creepshow, he would go on to be a director, he did the TV miniseries Dune. Very good score. Great score. Excellent score. It's very unique, has a little bit of Caribbean flavor at times, and I love the main theme, that it just has a weird vibe to it that just fits with the, almost as if, yep, this was the type of music I would hear with the end of the world. So, like, I could go on YouTube right now and just listen to the score. It's that good. Excellent job by John Harrison. And then they fly back, and you have the soldiers, and they have a bit of marijuana they're growing. Then you have the mines down below. You know, nice set that they have in there. I mean, it's some real locations. And you could tell with this location why people are so upset, why people are frazzled, why they snap at each other. So it's not like it comes out of the blue. And at times, it seems like I'm on Rhodes, Joel Pilato's side. Because this Dr. Loading guy, Dr. Frankenstein, Richard Liberty, seems like he's out of his fucking mind. And it seems like you guys have gotten nowhere in your research. Have you gotten anywhere at all? Well, I'd be mad and upset and pissed off too. And my friends are dying, all this stuff. I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? What are you doing? Is anything changing? Or is just more of my men dying just for the shits and doodles of it? So again, there's that part of me, yes, he takes it too far. But there's that part of me that kind of gets what Rose is saying and why he's pissed off. I kind of get it. And he's the best actor in the movie, Joe Pilato. His Rhodes character is fantastic. Almost every line he says, we don't know if you're all in there just jerking each other off. Or, I'm running this monkey farm, Frankenstein. I want to know what the fuck you're doing my time. Or, is this the shit that's supposed to knock our socks off? He's just so great. Like, you buy him being mad and pissed off. And then there's that part of my brain that goes, I kind of get why he's so pissed off. Now, he's lost it, of course. There's literally a point where he tells one of his men to shoot Lori Cardille. And then he goes, you shoot her or I'm going to shoot you. And even he is like, you serious? Oh, okay. But he steals every scene he's in. And you tell there's a part of him that despite him doing that, it's this weird thing because it's like he cares about his men, but he doesn't. Because he's ready to kill this guy. And like at the end, he leaves them behind and he steals the gold cart, the golf cart. But then when he finds that his men's been tested and you see him freak out and go, those are my men in there. He's crazy. Just like the Richard Liberty, he's crazy. And it makes me wonder, like, how was Rhodes earlier, before all this? That maybe he's a guy who was a decent guy. Maybe he was a guy who was a good soldier, and he did care about his men. But, you know, there's that line when Miguel gets bitten, and Lori Cardille cuts the arm off and burns it, and hopes to stop the infection, and he's like, I've seen 1,000 of them. He's gonna die. Probably meaning that he's seen 1,000 people get bit. Probably multiple, men, all this stuff before being put in this situation, and saw them. How many people did he see die on the field, on the battle front, in medical facilities? How does that warp a brain, harp and warp a mind if I learn how to talk? Now the whole thing with like Dr. Logan, his plan to condition and control them, I don't know how the fuck that was ever going to work. So you don't control a couple of them and just make them wander, and then have them teach manners and shit. That was never going to work, especially for how limited of people you have, and how long it's taking you to just do this with Bub. And this would take like decades at least. It would never have worked. So you could chalk it up to, yeah, he's crazy, he's insane, doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I would think these scientists should have learned a bit quicker as to what the fuck he was doing, and that none of this was going to work. And it makes you go, well, so what was Lori Cardille even doing? What was her part of the research? What would her research knows? Was she trying to find like a tier, like a... I don't know. That's the thing with Lori Cardille's character. She doesn't really do a whole lot other than... She's tough. She's a tough lady. I think acting-wise she does good. I like the bit when she has to be that tough facade when the Miguel died and he has to cut the arm off and burn it, and listen, if he's done, I'll take care of him. And then when they leave, she breaks down in front of Terry Alexander and he hugs her. That's a good scene. But man, this Miguel guy don't deserve it. Because all he does is treat Lori Cardille like shit. He's like, so fucking what? So fucking what? Being a whiny bitch. Or slaps the shit out of her. Well, why you just consider me as weak? Because you are a weak bitch. I'm gonna kick you in the fucking... I'd kick you in the dick if you had a dick. You probably have a clit, Miguel. Should more like Michelle. That's your fucking name because you're such a bitch. Change it to Michelle. God damn it. Michelle fucking Obama. God damn you. I hate Miguel so much. He's a fucking ass. Piece of shit. Sorry. But, so again, when the gore happens, it's fantastic. Bites to the neck, bites to the arm. You don't get a whole lot in the first half. You get little snippets. Some bites. Richard Liberty, some of his zombies, like the one that tries to get up and the guts fall to the ground, and then he's got to drill the head. There's the, I think it's Greg Nicotero's head, the one that's all wired up and his eyes are moving. I think it's him because I remember there was a story where Greg Nicotero brought the head home and did a joke on his mom. And the mom freaked out. And he's like, I thought you were a good boy. He's like, I am, Ma, I am. I remember that story. I can't remember where that was. That might have been on the Tom Savini, that Fangoria thing on Tom Savini. That was like an hour long. I think that's what it was. That was... I can't remember. I think that's what it was, though. But anyway. But again, it's not as much as Dawn of the Dead. Gore and action-wise. Far from it. So what I'm enjoying is, I'm enjoying some of the actors like Joe Pilato. I enjoy Bub. Just the way he plays the role where he can't use much dialogue and he's acting and trying to deal with the razor and how he studies the items and how he's so happy with the music, and when he's given the gun, like he knows how to use it, and it's empty. He's like mad that there's no bullets. And when Joe Pilato pulls out the gun, you see he's like, he knows what's going. And then spoiler for a film decades ago, when Joe Pilato kills Dr. Lodian, which is some nice blood squibs. Remember when they did that back in the day? They put these little things to simulate gunshots. Remember when they did that? I remember. Remember. The month of November. I remember. And then Bub finds him and realizes he's dead, and he's sad and depressed, and then he sees the guns, and he realizes who probably did this, and he goes after Rhodes, and then does the last salute. Great stuff there. Great character with really not much of any dialogue. But he played a character that people remember that is, again, I would say the best zombie of all time. I can't think of another. I mean, I like Tarman from Return of the Living Dead, but I would put Bub as the number one. There's other good. And then when you get to finale, the gore goes off the charts. I mean, there's the guy who gets ripped, his head ripped, and I love the detail that when he's getting the head ripped, the voice box extends, so his scream just gets higher pitched because it's the stretching of the vocal cords. I thought that was a real. I don't know who came up with the idea to do that, but that is an excellent idea. There's the one guy, Rickles, who keeps laughing even when he's dying, and the bit where this is ripped off and you see the eye, and there's Rhodes when he gets torn in half, and choke on him, choke on them. Great makeup effects, stellar stuff. Again, I don't really have a whole lot of issues with the film. I mean, the few nitpicks is, it's sad that he didn't get to do more of what he wanted, to have a bit of a bigger scope. I know you just say, well, he did Land of the Dead and that sucked. Well, again, I don't remember hating Land of the Dead. I remember just being okay, but being a bigger film in the 80s is very different from being a bigger film in, what was that, 2005, 2000, whenever? Those are two different eras of big-budget filmmaking. Let's be honest. A big-budget film in the 80s is very different from a big-budget film in the 2000s. So, if you're a big-budget film in the 80s, it could look a lot more practical and a lot more different. And, I mean, yeah, I would like to see a bit more action, and not all the acting. Like Miguel is my favorite. Lori Cardille, like, she doesn't have a whole lot technically to do. I like Terry Alexander. Again, his Jamaican accent is pretty fake. Kind of like Mario in Jaws 4. Yeah, man, I'm totally Jamaican, man. I'm totally Jamaican, man. But another thing, the ending, I thought it was kind of weird how they get to the helicopter, she freaks out, then she wakes up, so I guess the fact is that they got away safely, and then once in a while she still has these nightmares, like she did at the beginning, where she has nightmares. So I get it, kind of like we reprise the nightmare angle from the beginning at the end, kind of a bookend to that. I guess I just think of like the finale of those characters are just running through these tunnels, they kill a couple zombies, they get on a chopper, that's it. I don't know. They just didn't have that same energy, flavor for me. It was more so the death of the soldiers. That's where it came from. You know, Bub with the salute. And less from the main characters. While in like Dawn of the Dead it was Ken Foray, you know, boom, ba, 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 ba. You know, get really hyped up for that main character. It didn't give me the same impact and smile, however you want to put it, but I'm still glad it didn't go with a downbeat ending. They get to an island, which you gotta be careful because the zombies would just come up from the water. But this film, I think, has always been, I've always liked it. It's always been a good damn zombie film. The acting by Lori Cardille, Richard Liberty, Terry Alexander, they, again, aside from the Jamaican accent, I liked them. Joel Pilato steals the show. The makeup effects are fantastic. John Harrison's music is really solid. Like I said, the lack of action can kind of make people a bit, kind of, shaking their heads. But I think it definitely makes up for it with giving you your guts, the meat and bones of the finale of the film. And I was I'm sorry, I'm just, my mind frazzled because I'm thinking of what came after this in terms of Day of the Dead. There was Day of the Dead 2 Contagion, which I've never seen. There's a Day of the Dead remake, which I've seen once, and it's a fucking awful remake with spider zombies, as in they climb on the fucking walls like they're Spider-Man. A fucking vegetarian zombie, because he's a vegetarian, so he becomes a zombie, so that must be he's a vegetarian zombie. And some of the dumbest shit with that movie. I hated that fucking remake. And then Day of the Dead Bloodlines, which I don't remember a damn thing about. And I forgot there was a fucking TV show for a season until I looked it up before I did this review. I mean, yeah, there was a fucking one. It was like 10 episode TV show for like Sci-Fi Channel that no one remembers. Hell, when me, Stuntman, Mark, and Uncle Bill talked about Day of the Dead, we didn't even fucking remember that show. I bet they haven't seen it. And like Day of the Dead remake, I haven't seen it forever, but I remember being really disappointed because this is the guy who directed Friday the 13th 2 and 3 and Lake Placid, which I like, and House. I'm like, Steve Miner did this film? What the fuck was he thinking? And then there was that one teaser or photos of Night of the Living Dead 2 that had the 3 actors from this film. Lori Cardille, Terry Alexander, and the other guy who liked the drink from the flask. Those 3 were in it. And there were pictures, but I don't know what the fuck happened to that movie. Not that I'm looking forward to it, but it disappeared. It seemed like they were filming the movie, too. Like, they filmed the film. I don't know if they didn't finish it. They ran out of money. Or what the fuck happened. Because you can't find anything about that fucking movie. They had problems filming due to problems with money since it was a rather small studio. Delays in filming because of legal problems was revolving around Twilight of the Dead, which was supposed to start filming mid-2024. So yeah. Yeah, here's the picture. I don't even know if you can even see the picture. Oh, of course. Well, God damn it. Took away my fucking picture. Whatever. Just type in Night of the Living Dead 2. Night of the Living Dead 2. Then go to images and you'll find it eventually. You'll find images of them. Like there's... Like there. There's the 3 of them. And it's supposed to take place on an island, so it's supposed to be like an unofficial sequel to Day of the Dead. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, but it's funny how it's just funny how they build up this fucking hype for it and then nothing comes of it. good, because it probably sucked ass anyway. But this doesn't suck ass. This is a great movie. That's why I talked about it for like 40 minutes. But hey, it's the anniversary of the film. It deserves a bit of attention. I know a lot of people, it's their favorite. George Romero said it was his favorite of the zombie films he did. I know my friend Efrey, he's a big fan of the film. Other people are, I mean, it's a great zombie film. Again, I still prefer Dawn of the Dead, but this is up there. This is pretty damn good. So, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.